So this is the next drawing. I'm working on snow leopard. You can see it's really small in size. Okay, so I wanted to show how you can work small with pastels. You haven't got to work really large. If I just show you the size of it compared to a pencil as well. Okay, so as you can see, it's a really small drawing. For me anyway, you can't go too small with pastels. And when you work really small like this, the most important thing, as always with any drawing, is the tonal values, the shadows and the lights. Okay, getting those right. But when you work small, to make your drawing stand out, and perhaps you're displaying in a gallery, for instance, or competition, to stand out against a lot of the others needs to have impact. And for me, that means shadows offset with highlights. This image, you know, I've adjusted it. It's from Free Reference Photo site, and I adjusted it to increase the drama of it. Now let's talk about what I've got on my drawing. I've got the grey, dark grey pastel matte paper. I didn't go with the anthracite paper pastel matte because it would have worked, but I wanted to get these real bright highlights as well. So I thought if I went middle of the road as per normal and chose something that was middle tone, could have used the light blue. That would have been a little lighter than this, wouldn't have mattered. And what I did, I transferred my drawing. Now you can either draw with pastel pencils and sketch it out, or use a grid, or you can trace it, whatever. Okay. And then I did my usual on this, which is something I find helps me immensely, and that is to use black gouache paint thinned down to an ink-like consistency. Okay, so I just use normal tap water. I put it in a small beaker. Let me show you. Something like this. Okay, this is the one I've just holding the water in. Okay, I didn't thin it down like that, but I use a small container, a little bit of paint, and then just a normal brush to do the background. It was something like that. Okay, nothing special, just a small brush, and then a round brush, something that comes to a point to do the details. So with its ink-like consistency, painted in the background, doesn't matter if it's flat, even colour, all of this is going to be overlaid with pastel. The reason I've done it is because this won't move. Okay, when I put the pastel on top, this is not going to smudge. If I'd done this in black pastel pencil, for instance, as soon as I put PanPastels over the top, I would have gone like that and it would have smudged. Okay, so we don't want that. And this technique, which I've been using for a couple of years, but no doubt other people have used it a long time before that, but it's not something you regularly see. This helped the speed especially, but also the simplicity of my drawings, because I could put an underlayer on, not worried about the darks. If I'm doing the underlay with PanPastels in particular, they're not completely opaque, so I can still see the spots and markings, as you'll see, and they don't move. Okay, so I know then where to put those markings when I come to refine them later on. It also helps with the dark background to show me how light I need to go on top. And what I'm going to do, just to make things even simpler, because I like things simple and straightforward, as most of you know, is just use a pastel pencil to put in just the indications where the brightest highlights are going to be, because that's going to help me to visualize the tonal values, okay, the lights and the darks. I know that that section, for instance, is going to be light up here on the head. That's going to be light, really a little bit of pressure, no more than that. You see, when you've got a subject that's a little bit complicated, and let's be honest, all animal drawings are really quite complicated. There's not much more that you can do that's more difficult than those. It pays then, I believe, to think of one thing at a time. So by doing the background and the spots, okay, I don't have to think about that now. Now I'm thinking about where are these highlights going to live. So I'm just thinking of one thing again. That's all going to be light. This is all going to be light. Down here. And it kind of goes to a greenish tinge, but that's okay. I only need a white pencil. That's quite dark under there. It's white fur, but it's dark. The chin will be quite light. This is going to be fairly light. You can see it's helping me because the paper is dark. I can tell now straight away where these highlights are going to be. That's quite going to be light in there. You see, it's already starting to get a more three-dimensional look. Almost like a sculptor putting in the first blocks of major shape. And that's going to be a little light there. As I said, just a tiny bit of pressure. I don't think I need any more than that. Okay, that's pretty much going to help me know where the lights are going to be. And I'm not going to bother putting any darks in because the black gouache paint is doing that for me already. Now, off screen, I've got some PanPastels, and I've got a couple of pastel tools as well. I'm wiping them on a microfiber cloth to get any of the old PanPastel on there that I had on there. And I've got a few, let me move this here, a few pans that I'm going to use. I've got a black and a white, and then I've got these two are, let me see, natural grey tint and a Payne's grey tint. Remember, tint just means white has been added. And then I've got orange extra dark, burnt sienna extra dark. Extra dark means that to the master colour of these, black has been added. Okay, so you don't have to buy all the pans, you can mix them yourself. And then I've got diaryl, I think that's the word, yellow extra dark, and yellow ochre extra dark over here. And right at the bottom I've got raw umber shade. But remember, with PanPastels, where's my lump of metal gone there? I hold it on my magnetic whiteboard with these big, huge, really strong magnets. With PanPastels, you can mix them just like oils, and I'm going to be doing that off screen because I want to show you something else on screen. So I'm just going to start with some colours, and I'll just test it, bring it over, and I'm thinking I need to make sure this colour here is going to be, you know, correct, dark enough. If I don't get it dark enough, and this around here, this whole effect is not going to work. Okay, so I think if I add some black to the colour I just put on, and then put it on this bit of test strip and have a look there, you know, that's really close to it. Got a helicopter going over, and typical just to start to record. So that's really close. So now I know I can go over here and start to apply it, and I'm confident that it's going to be pretty accurate. I can check. I need to make sure that I've got enough going on there. Let's check again. Okay, so this is the start of the underlayer. Small circular strokes, not putting much pastel down at all, as you can see, because you can see the black gouache through it. Now, you may not have thought initially that a snow leopard would really be a greeny colour, but in this shadow it definitely is. And then down here it goes a little lighter. As we come down, it will go much lighter again as I come under here eventually, and then we go in dark again. So let's add some more dark to that dark colour. because all down here is really quite dark. That will eventually come out light. Up in here, definitely needs to go even darker around here. That marking is there, so that goes nice and dark as well. Okay, now let's carry on. Here I'm looking at more green and lighter. So let's try the colour I just mixed there. So we need to go lighter than that. A bit more yellowy colour in there as well. A little bit more. Let's see what that's like. See, rather than just throw it on there and hope for the best, I'm testing it. I want to make sure that it's pretty accurate. Doesn't need to be perfect, but I don't want to be too far out. When I filled up a piece of spare like that, I'll get another piece. Now down here, so we got dark again here. So all of this area is quite dark. And we've got to start somewhere with the drawing, okay? And by doing these little test pieces on this, it's keeping it fairly accurate. All the details will come on later. All the refinement will come on later. Okay, it's going to be really dark up here in this black area, and then we'll go a bit more to the green as we come out of that. Quite green up there, but also light. So under here it goes lighter and warmer. I'd say roughly that colour. Okay, that looks pretty close, doesn't it? And that's down here. It's also down here. That may need to go darker, but for now that's good enough. A bit darker around there. You can squint your eyes if it helps you to see the light and dark shades. And then as I come up here, it goes even darker. So I think I may use my, even lighter there. So I'm going to use the pointy PanPastel instead. Let's see how close I am with this colour. That's not too far off. And then it's going to go lighter and lighter as I come down. You can see it's all starting to come together and build together. All I'm thinking about now is the lights and the darks. Okay, so I'm separating all of the separate elements that I need to think about, rather than be complicating it by trying to think of everything being perfect straight off. And this will eventually come over the black area later on, over quite a bit more than that. And I may want to warm that up, possibly as well, but it's giving the idea straight off what I'm going to need to do later on. A bit more of that white there, and that'll give that bit of a rim effect that I'm seeing on here. Okay, When I put pastel on the black, this black will go much, much darker, and that's going to make the light look even lighter. A bit of that green comes there, and here that goes quite a bit darker under the neck, right there, and richer. So let's put a bit of a reddy brown in. Sometimes I pull the colours out and don't even use them, okay, but once I've pulled the colours out that I showed at the beginning, I know they're pretty much my best bet. They're the most accurate colours that I've got in my set of pans, okay, and I've got the full set. You don't need the full set, and you could just as well do this only with pencils. But I like to show lots of different ways of doing things so that you don't have to go out and buy everything, okay. I built my setup over the years. Right, so it's just a tiny amount of pastel going down on there. Now, as you get to this stage, this is something that people, for some reason, don't do very often. And what I do, I'll get my reference photo, clean my fingers a moment, and I'll fold it in half, or you can fold it any way you want. Okay, so now I can put this over here, line it up, and think, okay, how accurate am I with these colours? Do I need to go darker? Not thinking about the detail, lighter. I'll go over the top, line that up. Have I gone dark enough in areas? Am I close enough to carry on? Now you could fold it. Let's fold it this way. Let's check this side out. I could do it like that. So I can imagine now that when I come on top there, I'll go a bit darker perhaps with the pencils, and then that's going to give me enough darkness to be able for the highlights to show up on top. Let's go that way and look at it. So I can go a bit darker, you see, a bit greener perhaps. I could do that with the pencil. So this is a good way of assessing my darkness. So I could go darker there. So pop that back over. Oh, my magnets are so powerful that it pulls you out of my hand sometimes, but it does hold everything nicely in place. Okay, so let's go darker here. So I'm going to add some black to the dark greeny colour, perhaps some more. That comes down there. And this is almost so dark that it merges into the black. And I can blend that out with circular strokes out here. That's better. That's better. Perhaps here. A bit more. So you see I did that first pass, only a little amount of pastel. And now by coming back on top, I can refine it. I can get more accurate. That's all I mean when I'm saying refine it. More accuracy. And then I can continue adding pans on top, but don't go too heavy-handed. If you put too much PanPastel down, it fills the tooth of the paper, and then you can't get your details on top. And that goes for any of the, just thinking, when I'm stalling like that, when I'm talking, I'm thinking, any pastels, okay? So it could be talking about pastel sticks in particular. They can really fill the tooth of the paper up quite quickly, so be careful. Always better to work on the side of caution, less pastel rather than more. So I'm just adding some warm tones, you can see here. So this is coming into the light. It's going that bit warmer, a bit greener in that section. Okay, let's have a look up here. I know I'm going to go a lot lighter there, but need some darks as well. It's a small area, so I'll do more of the work with pencil there, because pencil will give me the ability to be more careful. Okay, I can work on the smaller areas with pencils more easily. There's a bit of colour here as well, so this colour is not just localized over on this side, it's also appearing in a few places, but sometimes quite subtly over here as well. A little bit there, a little bit of the colour there as well. Okay, happy with that. Don't need any lights in there because I'm going to be putting texture and things on there. So let's try a bit of the lighter colour. It's almost the same colour as the paper. See as I come up. So this is where it's like, very much I find, it's like playing with clay, where you're trying to make it look three-dimensional, but with clay it really is three-dimensional. I have to go a bit darker there, but that's giving me a good base colour to start with. I'm saying to myself, does this need to go lighter? Am I seeing light tones over here or dark? What area needs to go light? What area needs to go dark? This is going to be pretty light here. Now you can really see the advantage of having the gouache on there. None of the underlay is moving. It's much more difficult to do this if the underlay is moving, because I wouldn't have been able to put those spots in and done this. Okay, we would have ended up with a real big muddy mess. And you only need to buy two, well really one. It's not very often I use a white gouache, but you could put the lights in with gouache as well, it doesn't matter. But you only need to really buy one tube of paint, and that'd be the black. Around there is going to be light as well. Down on the bridge of the nose, and there's light. Down there will be light. You can always rub with your finger. Have some of that lightness around there. Definitely under there. Definitely around the eye. As I said, squint with your eyes if you want to. That then helps to eliminate the details, stops you concentrating on those, makes you concentrate just on the tonal values, the lights and darks. Now I'm not going as light as it's going to be in the end, because I'm going to do that with the pencils and the refinement on top. Now I'm just thinking, okay, what else am I seeing? There's a little bit of light there, a little bit out here, and then it goes dark by the eye. This has a touch more colour here. That's going to be dark. Touch of colour there. Touch of colour there. little bit more grey here. And a little bit under there as well. So you see, by not overcomplicating things, by trying to complete everything in one go, I've broken this down into much more manageable parts, sizes, whatever you want to call it. It's much easier when you're just thinking about really lights and darks or colours, and you've separated all that off. Now, this is of course not a complete beginner's type of lesson, but everyone can look at it and get something from it. Because I'm always trying to show you the techniques, so you can go away and draw, paint what interests you, because what interests me may very well not interest you. So by giving you the skills, the tools to do that, you can apply this, you know, this technique to anything, like pet portraits or flowers, landscapes, same thing, because I'm not really drawing a snow leopard. I'm really putting light against dark on a piece of flat paper, one colour against another on a piece of flat paper. So I'm not really drawing as such a snow leopard, but by putting the pieces, the colours, the tones correct, or more accurate enough next to each other, it just like a printout on a printer, we then read that as the animal that we see in those marks resemble. So I'm always trying to give you the tools so you can do what you want to do. And on my Patreon channel I've got real simple beginners lessons that's got, you know, all the colours as I'm putting it on and showing you the mixing and things as well. But then as you get beyond a certain stage, you really should be able to, and you have to be able to work out your own colours that you need, how to pick them. I got a free 45-minute lesson that's on my Patreon channel and YouTube, showing you the way that I approach things like that. So this got to go darker, definitely down there. Definitely a bit darker around here. Now I've almost finished this stage with PanPastels, and then I can look at, as I said, refining. That's got to go darker as well, hasn't it, in there? You see, I'm asking these questions myself all the time. What needs to go lighter, darker? What's right? Where are the differences between the reference and the drawing that I'm doing? That needs to be dark enough there. That's giving that cheekbone really that shape that I like. A bit warmer in there. It will all come alive when I put the highlights on top at the end. But all this underlayer, this base has got to be done first. A little bit more colour up here, I'd say. Even more than that. Because I can make it more colourful or less colourful. And the reference, I can make and change the lighting effect on there. Darker here, because I don't want that competing with the head. So let's darken this down. Right, now I think that's enough to go on with. That's a good base, works for me like a map. And I can build on top of that. And of course, remember the dark will go much darker in the end, okay? So if it'll go even darker than that. Okay, so that's the underlayer done. Just wanted to quickly mention my Patreon channel for those looking for even more in-depth art instruction. It's packed full of pastel videos, oil videos as well, and those videos are being added to new ones every single month. I have videos for the complete beginner that have never done pastels or oils before with just limited supplies, and I take you from the very first blocking in all the way through to the final detailed drawings and paintings. I've also got some really unusual subjects as well, and in all of my videos I always take you through all the details. You see everything I do, how I create my work. But it's not just for beginners, it's also for novices, and I also show the best artwork that I've ever done as well. And this particular elephant video spans 6 hours, so you know you're going to see tons and tons of details, tips and techniques. And as mentioned, I've got lots of oil videos on there too, so there really is something for everybody, and you get access to hundreds of hours worth of videos for just $4. Now over 1,000 members strong. Hope to see you there soon.